All right, hello everybody. We're gonna get started here. This is where we left off last time. We were continuing on with the black cloth and everything and getting that done. We did the shield and the backdrop. We're almost done with this guy. So today we're gonna be working on the back of the model. We got all that flesh, that shield, those ribbons, a little bit of this black cloth, and we still have these little like hip guards or whatever that we're just gonna do as a quick like brown leather. Hey Jet, how's it going? All right. So for the back skin, I'm gonna be a little lazy. Instead of like mixing up my own skin tones, I'm just gonna use Caucasian skin and undead skin tone from the. I can't remember. I think yes, the Caucasian skin was from the Danilo Cartacci set. This was from the Tenebra set, from their first Tenebra Kickstarter chimeras. I couldn't remember if Caucasian skin was in there, but I don't think it was. I think it's just from his regular set. But basically, just premixed skin tones. That's all you need for the back right now. See, it's like a normal Caucasian skin and then like a purpley color, like a pale purple. And then we'll get a little Croxagore scales if I can find it. Contrast paint. Back from the pub. Nice. Did you have a good time? Now's when you should start painting, Have a few beers, throw some paint down. We will add some bright pale yellow, even though we're not really trying to go high value. But I accidentally just dropped some paint into the sponge. That's cool. That's fine. That'll help us just a bit. And let's get a tiny bit of turquoise deep. And a little bit of red. Just if we want some, ooh, I got some paint all over my glove now. Just if we want a little bluer or redder tones for certain spots. All right, so now we can mix up color here. Now we already have like the dark red base coat that we used on the front here, as well as kind of a skin tone here. So the way, our light is hitting, it's kind of going like this, like a slight angle, but mostly just downward. And let's just show it with the backdrop here. So you can see like with the backdrop. So it's not getting any direct light, but it is getting some bounce light. So it's not like completely shadow. But we don't need everything super highlighted. And we don't really need directional. We're just kind of hitting it straight on. So it's fairly straightforward. So we'll take some of this undead and Caucasian. And a little more of this. And the bright pale yellow. All right, now we can just start throwing some paint on. Okay. Normally this wouldn't bother me, but since this is a competition piece, there's like a little hair that was stuck in the paint here. We'll just scrape that off and I'll just repaint this spot. All right. You don't want shit like that in your competition pieces. So was it a good dinner, Jet? Did you enjoy yourself? All right, so the skin should go pretty quick. And by pretty quick, I mean like an hour. So, you know, it's not going to be done in like 5 minutes. And then we can start working on the shield. Again, you know, it's getting bounce lights, it's getting reflections. So it's not metallic metal, so it's still going to reflect light. Still got to work on it, even though I guess when it's on the plinth, I mean, you'll kind of still see that angle. So you still got to do work on it, even though there's a backdrop. You don't want to just leave it empty. So this guy's probably got about 2 more paint sessions left. This one and, you know, 1 more. And then we can start working on our Marvel Crisis Protocol piece for the Worthy. Which will be Angel. And I just put the plinth through the slicer, so we're going to have a nice plinth for it. With, again, it's going to have a backdrop because he's flying. It's Angel. So it's one of those, like, you know, curved, continuous plinths or continuous backdrop. So it's not going to have like this one. He's standing on cobblestones, and then there's the backdrop. It'll just all be like sky. just as I hit live, or go live, my doorbell rang, and it was a package, my Adepticon badge. Didn't know it was coming today, but it did, so I now have my badge. Don't have to worry about the pickup line or anything. And I didn't get like a swag bag or anything, so just avoid that line altogether. Let's go right into the con. But I like that they added this feature starting, I think it was last year. It was the first year they did that. I need a little bit of yellow. We'll get some transparent yellow. But I like using the contrast paint and these transparents. Basically, just inks. Because as you mix them in, you're also thinning the paint too. So it works as both a paint and a thinner. And you don't have to keep adding water, which will separate the pigments more. All right, so that was kind of like a desaturated highlight. Just fine for the shadows. A little more pinkish tones here. Last night I was working on my demon project. I broke off the backpack so I can get to that fur cloak a little better on Ragnar. Threw black paint all over the pink cloak on the Infernal Master. So we can start our repaints. Also began sculpting the base. The base will take a little bit because I kind of have to sculpt it in little stages. First, we have to build up the basic shape. And then sculpt a whole bunch of little rocks and shape them a little bit, cut away, add more. Forgot about that little part where I had to scrape away that hair. Seen a lot of really good demon projects already. And I got some skin tone on the shield, but it was on a piece that was just base coated, so it's no big deal. Yeah, and that's just like I clearly not privy to everyone's work, just the ones that I've seen, and they look very good. I think this is shaping up to be a very, very good demon. A lot of high quality stuff. The other week in AC's chat, he was saying he thinks the UK guy's gonna win Sword based on what he's seen. And I know the UK guys are always good, but I think this is going to be the second year in a row that a Canadian takes it. These deep recesses are way too dark. I'm not even going to be this dark either. I'm just trying to start to tone them down. don't think I can handle the stress, to be honest. I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. You know, if you're trying to compete for the sword, yeah, I can see that being very stressful because you never know what's going to show up. You never know who's been working on a piece for like 3 years and they just drop it. And be like, look at this. If you're just trying to put out the best thing you can and not worry about what you get, it's a lot less stressful. I'm going to get some dark orange brown from the Flamion Metallic Gold Pro Acryl set. Just get this paint off the top. Don't need a lot because I'm just going to be thinning it down and using it as like a filter. I would need about 10 years to get a mini ready for GD, and that's just to enter. I'm sure that's not true. Come on, Jet. All right, so we're glazing that dark orange brown just to kind of get a little filter going over everything. Just tinting everything we just did. And then we'll come back and reinforce some spots. Thank you, Jet. Oh yeah, and I got to do the red around his hole. See if we can just hit a few spots in here real quick. It's very hard to, see in here, get light. So I need to do a lot of work in his gaping wound. Let's get some of that red. Thin that down. A little too thin. go. Just a little more red flesh. So yeah, I guess this would be the exit wound. It is the exit hole. It's a lot bigger than the front there. So it kind of blew out his back. The hole wasn't made by a 9mm. It was not. I don't know if they made a story about this guy, but I'd assume since he's called the aspect of faith, like whatever god he is faithful to, just like blasted him with a beam, made him like a priest or something. So now we go and just, excuse me, reinforce a few highlights there. Okay, you're blasting through all your fish already. Now there's no reason for you to stick around. This is probably more like, yeah, okay. I need to work on some Anubis. How's that going? I remember that was very big. What is that? There was a fleck that was like for some reason in the paint. All right, so for some of the shadow color over here, what we're actually doing is not really darkening the skin. Just taking that skin tone and desaturating it with the turquoise. So instead of just looking darker, it just looks more desaturated and kind of in shadow. Slow work but steady. I'm looking to put about 3 hours a day into them. Most important thing is I'm having fun. Yeah, there you go. Always gotta have fun with your models. Can you see it like that, maybe? This weapon gets in the way a bit, but no, we're just kind of refining this skin up here. I know the light is shining down like this, but it's still kind of creating those muscle islands, and I'm not trying to get rid of that, but at the same time trying to keep that light, like the light source is coming like this. I feel like it would create those harsh shadows on the bottom of the abs. Let's try a little of this. I think that's a little better. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the back. Those bottom bits can definitely be the darkest. If we want to get the armpits and stuff, judges will turn the model all over, look at everything. All right. So I already have red on the palette, so we can start working on these red bits. So we'll take some of that red and the Croxagore scales. Now we get a nice desaturated red. As far as the stippling for like the cloth goes, don't really have to do a whole lot back here. If you're not getting as much light, no direct light shining right on, so you can see like those individual like, threads, I guess. Also, the backdrop, it's kind of blocking it, so we don't have to get a lot of it, but you know, we'll do a little bit. And then, of course, we have all the gold runes. That are almost impossible to paint because of the shield, which we can't remove. All right, so we add a little bright pale yellow to that desaturated red. And we get some kind of desaturated highlights, which we'll glaze back over. So if they look too bright, too high value for these back kind of shadow areas, it's perfectly fine. Because those still like show up a little bit once we glaze over, and you can still see the texture. This is what we're going for. We're just going for a little bit of texture here. But we don't need to be as precise and exact as when we did the front. Some of this I'm just going to kind of edge highlight and call it a day. Actually, I want to get this a little more desaturated, so go with that. All right, next step, we could do the gold. We got the dark orange brown here. Yeah, let's mix it with this. It's dark orange brown with our desaturated red, and then add a little yellow, transparent yellow. Maybe a touch more Croxidor scales. There we go. Now we have kind of a greenish gold color. But one problem with that was I mixed a contrast paint and a transparent paint, meaning I got pretty thin, so I got to be a little more precise covering this, just using the tip of my brush. See, some of these in the back are really bunched up, like maybe not sculpted the best. going to see a lot here, so I'm just going to hit the edges. I did hit the red a little bit, so we'll just correct that later. All right. Again, the trouble with 3D prints, most of the time, it's about 90% of the prints out there, all just one solid piece, so you can't do it in sub-assembly, so the shield is getting in the way. But the shield blocking it, the backdrop on, it's not the end of the world. Doesn't need to be as precise. Let's hit these little guys too, as long as we're here. Teensy tiny little runes. I want to make sure we hit the sides of these, since these are pretty well stuck out. Okay. And since we have that gold, we can use the same color for this bit here. The hair was in my fingernail. There we go. Okay. Maybe we'll say that gets a little bit of reflection off the steel right there. For the most part, that'll be dark. Again, the base coat for these gold parts was mahogany from Proacryl mixed with a little Hitachi red and black, just to give it a little more darker red tone. But mahogany is already pretty dark brownish red. Take a little bit of bright pale yellow and transparent yellow. Now again, it doesn't need to be as shiny as this side. I'm gonna basically match this over here. Of course, one of the constants is the edges. I'll get the biggest concentration of light. Edge highlighting means a lot for non-metallic metal, so of course there we gotta sculpt it in nick. Okay, let's... make up just a little bit more. That original dark color. So we're blending it in a little. All right, we're gonna get a little black in the palette. Need to refill this. Basically empty. Just darken down that gold color we made. Actually thin down some black with transparent yellow, and we get a very dark blackish green. And that can be our darkest reflection color. Focus. There we go. All right. Add a little more bright pale yellow to our highest value mix to kind of get some of these brightest edge highlight spots. That spot was a little messed up. There we go. My bad. So there's kind of quick gold for our little more desaturated back. All right. So I'm gonna take a break there, and then we come back and continue on the little bits of gold here, and then start working on the steel shield. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, I'm back. So I'm just gonna hit some of these runes here with a little bit more of this gold mixture before starting on the shield. We also have, I'm gonna do the steel first, but we got like this little thing here that should probably be gold, and maybe these little inlays. Thank you for the hydrate, TG. How you doing? Welcome in. Baby just went to sleep finally? Oh, that's good. Now you have some time to relax a bit. Don't relax too much because you never know when that baby's going to wake up. You got to stop falling off the handle. Sorry, don't mean to jinx it. Hopefully, everything's good. Did anyone here enter the Squidmar competition? If so, how did you do? They released all the winners and commendeds and stuff yesterday. we don't really need any highlights right there. Let's put a little bit. All right. There we go. Gold. Now we can start working on some steel. This bit of black, we'll add some turquoise to that. And then start graying it up with this bright pale yellow. That was a little too much turquoise. That'll be fine. Okay, let's get more of a brighter highlight so we can kind of sketch where the highlight's going to go. All right. So it'll go there. That edge highlight. So if the light is, we can just match that. That look weird. It's gonna be right up against the backdrop. You're not even really gonna see it, so it doesn't matter. I'll go down like that. Okay. So we probably want a little bit of light right here. the difficult things with this shield is just the nature of the curved surfaces into the extremely flat surfaces. Large flat surfaces are always like the most difficult to highlight or get right with non-metallics. Because depending on how it's angled, like from the light source, a large flat metallic surface is just going to kind of look like one solid color. Maybe with some environmental reflections in there. So like little bits of green or brown from the ground, but for the most part, it'll just kind of look like a solid gray with edge highlights, which in mini painting looks unfinished. All right, we gotta do something. This should probably be pretty dark. And then right here, we'll just get a little bit lighter. thin that edge highlight down. It was a little too much. Okay. I think that little part of the shield, actually just a tiny bit more light right here. There we go. Okay. So now I can just work on the circle part here. The top bit's already done, so we just kind of have those bits there. This bottom part, we'll make fairly dark. Same with that edge there. Right, and these need edge highlights, and it'll help make that metal look more metal once we get to that step. This should probably be almost pure black, this inner bit right here. All right, let's tone that down a bit and get an edge highlight over here. Accidentally hit that gold, so I gotta fix that. All right. So now we got the dreaded flat surfaces to do. Make this spot here the brightest spot, because this is basically where the big bright light is in the backdrop. So this will be our highest value spot. All these other highlights here will stay where they are. Extend this edge highlight a little. Same down here. All right, so this flat shield edge, we can kind of maybe go a little cartoony with like the angled white lines. Actually, this whole thing can be, because, yeah. Is it angled towards the ground a bit? It is just a bit, so kind of get this whole edge a little darker. Just try to get this edge highlight right here. Maybe we'll say this is catching a little light. Getting a little pure black in there just to reinforce the shadows. So this lighter portion up here will kind of match. I don't want to put a lot of like warm reflections back here. I'll leave all the warmth to the front. All right. So when it's like on here, and you're not really going to see a whole lot of it, so I think it's probably pretty good where it's at right now. Make up some more of this gold. How can you stay on? Stay on. There we go. Just get little bits of highlight in there. And this thing's mostly edge, so that's fine. All right, we have these little bits of gold inside this circle here. It's kind of something no one will ever see because I'm pretty sure the backdrop will cover this part completely, but who knows, if you turn it at an angle, you might see it. We definitely want these to be painted. Gonna come in and black line around these things. So they stand out a little more. I can do the same thing up here. And that guy. All right, so all we have left now is the back of the black cloth and the blindfold here, and then these little leather hip guards. Today, we are going to finish this model. So last stream, we were working on the back here, doing like the flesh, working on the shield, which I kind of added in some reflections from like the backdrop and the ground and stuff, and they need to be smoothed in a little bit, but you know, that's all going to be done today because today is finishing and refining. So what we're going to do first, as you can see by the palette here, is work on the black cloth. We're going to finish off this cloth here. Doesn't need to like look like this because obviously it's in the back. Most of it's getting covered by the backdrop. And also it's not getting all this direct light, so you're not going to have these high value spots really. So we're just going like a mid-tone type gray hitting some of these spots here. We already worked on the red ribbons. I still don't know the technical term for these. I'm sure they're like, because they're not purity seals like, you know, in 40K, but you know, those types of things. And then we have two of these little leather hip guards, which will go pretty quick. And then we can finish off by refining stuff. We can like smooth this out, refine some of that. We did a lot of refining on the skin last stream, which, by the way, for the YouTube watchers, I'm probably going to combine last stream and this stream together. So I'll be the same video. Oh yeah, and there's like the little black cloth up there from the blindfold, and that is pretty much it. And then we'll glue him onto the base and check him out and see how he is. See if anything else needs to be touched up, and then call it a day on this guy. Of course, we got black and bright pale yellow from Pro Acryl on the palette, and that's how we're going to make up our gray, a little bit warmish. Jet, how are things? Okay, there's one spot. Where are you? There we go. Just want to get that up. These little bits on the felt really bug me. Okay. So again, you know, we're not doing much here. And these first like dots, you know, you want to get the cat hair out of there, but spray bristles are fine. These first dots don't need to be like super small or anything, especially since I am going to, you know, glaze over it with some more black and kind of blend it in a bit. Because really when it's on the plinth, you're just going to kind of see that. That's about it. Attempting NMM on Anubis statue today. Good luck. I know you've been watching a lot of AC streams and my streams, so you know how NMM goes. I'm confident in your abilities. I am going to put some of this here, just get a little texture in there. Again, we'll blend it back so it'll look darker. But I don't want that bit to look like, you know, just pure black. All right. One thing I need to do is kind of get the tack off of the black here. So I don't know what time, but I'm pretty sure Adepticon registration ends today. So anyone who hasn't registered yet and wants to get in on classes, I know some classes are still available. Even like painters like Marco Frazzone and Francesco Farabi still had classes available or seats available in their classes. But for anyone that was concerned about just going at all, if you don't get a ticket today, you can still show up on the day and get in. Sure, you're never going to see any of this because it's kind of touching the base and hidden by the backdrop, but just to be sure, there are some unprimed sections here that want to hit with black paint. Except for these bits on the bottom because they're going to be glued. Okay. I know this looks pretty high value, and it is, but this will be glazed back, filtered, blended in, whatever you want to call it. Will not look this bright. Make sure we get skin tone colors off of the black cloth there. All right. And when that dries, we'll come back with more mid-tone gray, a little darker. And we'll just keep working on some stippling there. Let's not use that brush, that is too small. There we go. I'll come up and do the blindfold here. Actually, it's like last time with the blindfold, I'll zoom in a little. Not that, because I need to bring it closer. There we go. Wait for it to zoom. Okay. So we don't need it to be as well worked as the front. And we're going to leave the sides kind of dark. Actually, while that is drying, Of course, as we get closer to Golden Demon, we're seeing more and more teaser shots from painters. You kind of get an idea of what they're bringing. If you know their general skill level, you know that they're going to be all incredible. Sorry, that was off camera. I'm still pretty zoomed in. Yeah, this is going to be a spicy one. Gotta make sure not to break these things. These little things are pretty flimsy. Okay. Put him down. Yeah, I keep hitting this one. I'm worried about breaking that guy. All right, I'm going to get some turquoise deep. Chimera. And we can start refining the back of this shield here. It's that same gray mix. We're just mixing in that blue a little bit. Blending in all of these little reflections. You know, the different environmental reflections, the colored ones. Also getting the normal light reflections blended a little better. get the edge of this guy here. A little lighter. You're gonna really only see it like that from that angle there. And some of that gold a little bit brighter just by putting little dots of the bright pale yellow. Right. There is a spot I thought I had corrected last time. It's a little missed brush stroke of a highlight into a shaded area, so I gotta fix that. And a little more yellow to that mix, so some transparent yellow. Try to get like a dark greenish brown. There we go. And we'll try to get the blend into the highlight a little better. All right, maybe a little more stippling over here. Ooh, golden red-eye rudd. Look at that. New fish. All right, now I'm gonna kind of dry fit it onto the base, and then see how I want it to go on. All right, I think that's where I'm going to be gluing it on. Don't move. Okay. Probably right here. Just scraping off paint so it more adheres to the Sculpey. And also that gives me a reference of where I want these two things to go. So I don't accidentally glue it in the wrong spot. Okay. And we'll excuse me. We'll kind of have to hold this here for just a little bit. The stuff does dry pretty quick. So as you can see, he's on there. I mean, if you knock him with a good nudge, he'll probably come off. The contact points aren't the best, but good enough, you know, for a competition. People are just gonna very gently hold it at the base. Go. Let me paint over that. Okay. So before I do the leather, looking around here, there's some spots like right here and then over here that I can do on like the red ribbon things. So I just put some bold pyro red on the palette. Mix a little black, a little turquoise in there, just kind of get a darker desaturated red because in the bottom here, you know, we're in the shadow areas, so just cover these spots. You can kind of see it in here as well. It's one of the things with these pieces for competitions, you know, get it onto the base, plinth, whatever. Oh, there's some spots there I got to fill with in black. Just know that judges aren't just going to look at it like that. You know, they're going to do this, move it around, look at everything. So you got to make sure that you have painted all the spots. So anywhere they look, kind of make sure there's something done to it. You just don't want bare primer, or even worse, unprimed plastic or resin. Like right here, you can see a little bit of unpriming, unprimed spots. Getting this stuff with pure black is totally fine because it's deep shadow. Also, it's black cloth, so. All right. We got this gold mixture here. Let's add a little bit of red to that. We're just trying to cover these microscopic sculpted runes. Don't need a lot of gold color in here. The kind of desaturated greenish gold works. So I want to make sure you're covering that red. A little bit over here. Okay. Some of it will get a little bit of light. So we'll mix in a little bright pale yellow. All right, so you can see it, and some gold there. Okay. All right. So I've already covered the leather with mahogany, so I think I can use this dark orange brown. Let's mix it up with this desaturated red. I think that'll work. And we're just stippling, scribbling, both. Get texture in here. I'll go a little higher value. If you can you see that on camera? Maybe if I go that way. And then I will glaze back over with some mahogany or an approximation of with what I got on the palette. And then maybe reinforce some like scratches along the edges. I do see a little red right here. I want to cover that. So just make sure we have a full like black line around the body. This okay. Take some red, mix it with black, some of that dark orange brown. And that turquoise. Make a nice green and red mixture, which will of course make brown. Add some of that other brown, a little black. Try to get a dark reddish brown, approximate the mahogany, just so we don't have to get more paint on the palette. A little bit more black. All right. I'm gonna make sure that that stippling and texture that we just did is fully dry before grabbing some of this, making it nice and thin. And then covering everything we just did. A little better. See the whole thing now. Oh, dropped a few frames. It's only 160, so hopefully it's not too bad. You guys didn't miss much. All right, that dries pretty quick. It's pretty thin. Come back, reinforce like the frayed edges here. Scratches. All right. And that's all we need to do for that leather. Okay, so for the black around plinth and everything, I like to use just a crap this is apple barrel matte. And I'm just going to go around and hit spots like right here where you can kind of see the paint didn't fully take. Also right here in this corner. Cover that. I already used a slightly different black and you can tell the difference. Hit some red right here. Not top, no, okay. I think that's a little right there. All right. Actually, not fully done. Let's go back to the more mini paint black. Just want to make sure I'm not putting my hands on wet paint or my fingers. So some of that matte varnish that I airbrushed on here kind of pooled in some of these crevices and just got a little like speckly. It's no big deal. We'll just come back. Make sure everything is nice and black in there. Also, careful to come in here, hit that. Probably not the smartest thing to do right now. I don't think it's fully dry, but whatever. The super glue was a little shiny, so I just want to hit that with black. I don't think I killed the brush, so that's good. All right, I think that is now finished. Oh, nope, there's one little spot here. All right. So we have a finished Resin Beast entry. Do we? Hold on. Do some on this red right here. I worked on the front part, but I forgot to work on this part. Doesn't need a lot because its location, how much you can actually see. The fact that it's kind of downturned away from the light. Still, every detail counts though. Welcome back, Jet. How was your food? Hey, you got a shrimp toy. Play with it wisely. Right. A little black line around that, and now it's done. There we go. It's the Aspect of Faith from Bestiarum Games for the Resin Beast.